city you burn, I'm gonna build one high.
Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashrothi, the voice of New Eden, and it is April 1st, YC126, and this is the Evenverse Show! Welcome, welcome, welcome. How's it going, guys? It is good to be back. I am so glad to be back. It's been a long week. Sheesh! Coming in with 5 gifted membership. I also definitely want to give a thank you to Sheesh for his $10 gift earlier, and also, of course, give a shout out to my number 2, Malik Starfire, who's been an immortal member for 16 months. Ridiculous. But I do want to thank Sheesh on behalf of Ragtag Pro, Robin Simon, Mason Sarver, Wazi Up To, and Patrick P07 to you guys. Thank you guys so much. This is what this is what allows this to happen. Thank you, and thank all of the supporters that lets me spend my time making this content for you guys, because that's what we're here for, to raise overall literacy and understanding of EVE Online to make a better game for us all. Thank you guys. All right. So today on that subject, we have a few things on the docket. We have some news and whatnot, but the biggest thing is it is April 1st, which is April Fool's Day. And so I do want to talk a little bit about the nerf that it came today, giant nerf that we all wish will stay. Don't worry, it'll make sense. And then also, I have been dying to talk to you guys. This is the problem, is that so on Sunday or whatever, during Vanguard, this was brought to my attention by Malik, I believe. There was some very interesting tidbits of information in the contracts that were being sent out. There were some things I noticed during the Vanguard playtest, but even more was shown to me afterwards that I think has incredible... it's just very, very interesting to me. Names that I didn't think I would ever see before. And I think I even mentioned this in in the previous New Eden news, but I really want to dig into it today. But before we do, also, if we have time, I do want to go over. Lorelite has compiled all of the information involving the Ugalis project, so I want to look at that as well, at least a little bit today. But, hey! I think that Moriarty has a high likelihood of being Kavik. Okay. No, seriously, there is something very interesting. There's a few very interesting things going on in over in Vanguard that we should be paying attention to. Absolutely. Yeah, so... Either way, but before all that, the nerf that was, the nerf that we wish to stay. All right, so the nerf, okay. CCP has a long and proud history of playing around with April Fool's Day jokes, right? However, this history is long and kind of fraught. Oh no, I should have had things prepared. I just realized I should have had a lot more things prepared. Give me a few seconds. Let's let other people settle in while I check up a couple more things. EVE Online. What was the Anubis ears? Drone implants ears? Am I going to be able to find that? April Fools? Eric. All right, hold on. We're getting this. Introducing Eric. Yeah, okay. So that all I'm going to need? Hold on. Hold on. April 1st, low sec gate to stain. I just realized I tried to get this stuff set up ahead of time, and I got quite a bit set up, but then I realized as I was explaining, I was like, oh, nope, I didn't quite have enough. So only bad thing about the April Fool's joke is the generative image they use. You know, first of all, I that was my first reaction too. It's like, oh man, they good use of AI art, but at the same time, like, can you imagine all of the artists that just kind of have that style that now are like, well, crap. You know what I mean? Like, I feel bad. I guarantee you that there is legitimate artwork that people are just automatically accepting is AI generated art. But yeah, I don't know. I think that it takes quite the artist to even get generative art to look that good. Either way. Yeah, I think that's it. If not, we can always pull up more. All right, let's talk about the nerf. The nerf is CCP's gift to us on April 1st, YC126, 2024, for those of you playing the home game. But what is going on here? So CCP has a long and proud history of like April Fool's Day jokes. However, one of the things that I find very interesting is that there's always been, or not always, but especially in recent years, there's been a bit of a blur between April Fool's Day jokes and reality. And I think that the nerf is probably the most clearest example of that we have seen yet in EVE Online. Like, is this a new feature? Is this an April Fool's Day joke? What exactly is this? So before I begin to look at its context and history, let's look at what it actually is. All right. So we have revered capsuleers. A new era dawns in New Eden with the launch of New Eden Recreational Feed, or NERF, a revolutionary addition to the EVE launcher. This exclusive overlay introduces a collective of EVE online universe apps transforming the way that you interact with the game. From immersive lore to real-time updates, NERF puts the universe of EVE at your fingertips, merging gameplay with rich digital entertainment experience. The New Eden recreational feed is also highly customizable. Maybe you want to nerf wormhole space, while others may want to nerf nullsec. With the New Eden recreational feed, you can nerf anything you want. So, by all rights, I think that this is, like, clearly that's a joke. Like, that, especially that part is a joke. And the idea of, yeah, for copyright reasons, 100% sure it's a joke. That's true. I think that's a little bit on the nose. I think Nerf, the company, you know, the brand, would probably be like, okay, video games, rein it in. But we have Rebel Radio, your go-to player for rebellious beats across the cosmos. We have Red Knot, dive into the vast universe of EVE with Red Knot, the digital reader. ACN, Amar certified news. Instalock, capture and share EVE moments with Instalock. FedMart, Echoes of New Eden, Capsulearn, and Excel. So what is going on here is if you go up to these things, all these different buttons, right, you can actually find at the very top. Can you see my mouse? Yes. At the very top right of the launcher today, you'll see this little button up here. And if you click on that button, this app drawer will open. And you can click on the things, and they lead to different websites for the most part. So just to show you what I mean by that, also in case you're watching this on some day besides today, and this is all just a thing that goes away, but like if I click on Rebel Radio, for example, it will, oh no, It actually pulls it up in the... Wait, it actually pulls it up in the browser? Wait, it actually pulls it up in the launcher? I thought it sent it to Pandora, or to like, what is that? You know what I mean? Spotify, whatever. No, this is... Hold on. Look at this. If I click on the app, Rebel Radio, it just pops it up in the launcher. Okay. So, like, and this is what we're going to... I guess we're going to highlight the thing that's frustrating with me about this right now, which is that, like, is this a joke or is this a real feature? Because at this point, like, this works. Here, let me... If I put on desktop audio, I can be like... You know? This is just a feature, right? Like, this is not a joke. This is not a prank. This is not an image of a feature. This is just literally a feature that in order for this joke to fulfill itself, they will actually have to take out. This is something that has been built that might be taken out, but might not. Is this just a joke? And that is kind of the thing I want to explore today, okay? For a little bit. Okay. They can't hear me over you. So, now, in Eve, back in the day, there's been three things that have been taken out of the game that people to this day complain about being removed from the game. Okay. The first is Captain's Quarters, which was removed in order to facilitate the transition from DirectX 9 to DirectX 12. Then there was... Hold on. Then there was the Eve browser, where there used to be an in-game browser, right? But keeping it updated so that way it was, didn't have vulnerabilities through JavaScript was impossible, or would be a monumental effort. So they eventually stopped supporting it. But the third thing is a jukebox. It used to be that you could just play whatever Eve music you wanted to at any given time from inside of the client. You could even, if I remember correctly, this is like back in the day, right? Back in like Winamp days, right? Where everyone had an MP3 playlist that they grinded or listened to while they were playing MMOs or whatever that played MMOs. So like, it wasn't unusual for there to be something like this jukebox that allows you to play music inside of the game. But as part of various updates, CCP discontinued the Eve jukebox, and no one has ever let them forget this since. So the idea, like, CCP does like to poke fun at these kinds of things that we cling on to, but the idea that CCP would put this functionality into the browser, or sorry, into the launcher without the intent of keeping it there is absolutely maddening. I can only hope, spoiler alert, I can only hope that a fair chunk of these remain behind, even if the joke is stripped away. All right? That's what I'm hoping for. Yeah, someday we'll have Ash's talk show inside of in-game radio, spewing in-universe news. That's right. All right, so, like, okay. If you click on... Let's move on. If you click on Red Knot, oh my God, they're all in here. They're all in here. Oh, I thought that they took you to other websites. Some of them do. Hold on. This is way cooler than I even thought it was before I put that down there. So, like, if you click on Red Knot, here are all of the chronicles. And if you click on this, it pulls up the chronicle. This is the thing that maddens me about this. I have been bugging them, and not just me. Lots of people have been bugging them for them to present the lore portal on the same in like a meaningful context on the launcher, right? Like the fact that we have in the news section, like you can actually look up the lore. You can link to universe now from inside of the launcher if you know what to look for. Like that was something that we had to ask for and CCP had to add in as they were doing the new launcher. But in previous iterations of the launcher, there was nothing. And it's been maddening because there's so much lore here, but nobody even knows about it. And so here you have it like, oh yeah, you're looking at the launcher. Here's some other resources. Cool. Okay, great. Here's all of the lore. Here's all of the chronicles for you to check out. And it works. This is totally functional. And here is all of the scope videos. Now, why do they make all of the scope videos ACN? Why didn't they just make this scope? I don't know. I don't know. But like Instalock is like Instagram. This is their Instagram feed. Like Divinity Social is obviously so actually. Let's stop there and talk a little bit about the history of their April Fool's Day and why this has got me so up a wall. So, let's see. If we go... It all begins, in my opinion, with Eric. So, in Eric, this is Eric... The announcement of Eric. This was their April Fool's Day joke in 2018. In 2018, there was all kinds of different stuff that they talked about, but basically the idea was that they were introducing a new pet into the game, this experienced, robust, interactive companion called Eric, like a companion pet from other MMOs, like a non-combat pet or whatever that like helps you out. See? You've been mining for quite some time now. Would you like to speak to someone, or perhaps I can assist with refreshments and entertainment? Yeah, you know, definitely tongue-in-cheek. But here's the problem with that being tongue-in-cheek, okay? A little bit later, if we go into client, they actually added a decommissioned Eric prototype. So here's the thing. Even though Eric's didn't actually come out, it was an April Fool's Day joke, there is still an in-game canonical reference to them. They were being worked on. Now that means you could look at it as this very post, as with a lot of communications from CCP like this, is at least partially viewed as from in-universe, or at least is connected to in-universe, right? So, yeah. So Eric's were not actually introduced into the game. They're obviously a joke, but then they're put into the game as a special edition commodity. But what happened next in here is what really gets people. Because there's the Nobody Cares capsule bell choker. But then there's implants that include cat ears. Now, you don't have to have been around EVE Online for a while to know that player base is pretty big and divided on the subject of cat ears. So, and this has been this way for a long time. So the idea that CCP would introduce these as an April Fool's Day joke was seen as kind of a slight to people. Because historically, you know, the idea is that if you see something in an April Fool's Day joke, that means it's probably not going to come to the real game, right? It's just a joke. And so this post right here is one of the reasons why the cat ears debate is such a virulent debate every year with CSM or whatever is because CCP made a joke of it. And, you know, whatever. But it gets a little bit weirder, right? Like, this is not the last time, or this is only the beginning of CCP playing around or like really dipping into the potential of April Fool's Day when they come out with, in 2021, the low-sec gate to stain. Okay? So those of you who may not, who are within the last 3 years into the game, may not realize this, but there used to be not a low-sec gate to stain. Hold on. For those of you who might be like, what is stain? Stain is a region. Let's just pick a constellation. And then a system. And then show it on map. All right. So we can see there's stain, right? This area here. Coloring is terrible. Empire and Pirate Factions. Yeah. So this red space is, and some of this, right? No, that's catch. There it is. I had to find it. So the idea is that there's this region of nullsec called stain, and it's NPC nullsec, which is means that nobody can have no player group can have sovereignty over it. Sancha has sovereignty over it, but it is disconnected from any of the Empire space in any meaningful way, right? It's connected effectively through nullsec. It's kind of a bridge system in nullsec. And there is this guy on Reddit named Stain Guy who would post all the time these like trestiges, these just incredibly well thought out arguments, real mechanical arguments as to why there should be a low set gate to stain. And he did this for like over a decade, enough that a low set gate to stain became like just one of those peak memes, right? So imagine what happens when CCP publishes this on April 1st, 2021. What is going on? Is CCP making a joke of Stain Guy? Is CCP going to give in to a meme? This is what everybody wanted to know. And he goes, as part of our next quadrant release, you can expect to see a new route opening up in the southern region of New Eden, bringing a long-awaited low-sec gate to Stain. This newly built Stargate will offer capsuleers expedited access into and out of this NPC nullsec region, making it a much more favorable place to live or stage from. Unfortunately, Concord could not be contacted due to his, to issue a statement on the potential of a new gate to Stain being built. Instead, here are some comments by the topic by valued capsuleers around the cluster. Have you heard that LowSec is missing a gate to Stain? How about enriching LowSec and giving it a direct gate connection to Stain? Wait, what do you mean we can't jump to Stain? Stain is the best region of the game. LowSec gate to Stain will not build itself. Unfortunately, the gate to Stain would have been built sooner, but construction efforts were held up for some time after an Orca attempted to use the gate early and became lodged sideways in the jump tunnel. This was during the whole, like, the big boat that got stuck. Ironically, we've had a different big boat, but, you know, whatever. Okay, so, but here's the thing. This was published on April 1st, but CCP was totally straight about it. Hold on. Actually, like, CCP refused to acknowledge that this was just a joke. On April 1st, none of them, like, everybody would say, can neither confirm nor deny if this was an April Fool's Day joke. And that was super funny until the next day and the next day. And then it's like, ha ha ha, April Fool's Day joke, right? And I'm like, I don't think this is an April Fool's Day joke. Lo and behold, Stargate Trailblazer event begins 25th of May 2021, running until the 3rd of June 2021, which creates 4 new gate connections. The first is the Abysson Hakota Gate, which is very famous now. Abysson becoming the most dangerous system in the cluster at this point, I'm pretty sure. The Kenrick to Egglehorn gate, which had some very lore-relevant things, where Gallente has been cut off thanks to the formation of the Syndicate. So this reconnects Solitude to the rest of Gallente proper through Losec. Then there is Urgerus, which is the Mimitar connection to Pakshi, which is Concord. This is very important because Concord and Mimitar have had kind of a strained relationship since Mimitar attacked Concord during the events of the Empyrean Age book. And then finally, Samanir to Stain, to F7 Tech ICZ. So this actually happened. This was not a joke or meme. It was a real thing. Now, some people have suggested that this is just, oh, it was done for the meme. And I've said this before, and there is other videos about this, but like, there is definitely some lore implications about this, where Tashmerkon, which is the family of the Empress, might be poising herself to expand her territories by taking a chunk of Stain. Maybe, perhaps this summer, when they're exploring how to do expand faction warfare mechanics into nullsec, maybe? I don't know. I've probably talked about it in some other video. Any rate, so that is a thing as well. And then finally, Divinity Social, right? Divinity Social is another one of those things where... Hold on. Where's the launcher? Divinity Social is another one of those things where, like, they introduced this... Wait, hold on. What year was this? When was this? Oh, God, it's not even a dev blog. Damn it. I don't know. I don't remember what year this was. But here we go. Hold on.
Looking for someone to share FanFest with? Introducing Divinity Social, a new dating experience for EVE players. The future starts now.
Are you into high-sec Care Bears, low-sec Pirates, or null-sec Chads? Divinity Social is a multi-dimensional dating app that enables you to turn your in-game value into real-life relationships. Check out Encapsula's skills, ship preferences, playstyle, and ISK wallet to find your ideal match. Keep a record of your matches with integrated...
First of all, again, another one of those examples. Oh,
ship
God.
preferences.
Like, I unironically want, like, oh, God. Come on. There. Like, especially since now we've lost the Eve portal. Like, come on, man. Yeah, I want to be able to look up my character stuff.
Keep a record of your matches with integrated spreadsheets. Upgrade your profile with the in-app currency tiers. Buy skin pack filters and love fittings and get exclusive access to CCP devs. Divinity Social, from friendship to relationship.
So this is also like a joke, right? Except, oh shoot, hold on. Actually, can I pull up something? Let me see if I can pull something up real quick. Do I have it? I should have it in my video resources that I save. Because there is an in-game Divinity Social app video. Hold on. Is this it? Yeah. Like, so, ha ha ha, CCP, funny April Fool's Day joke, right? Totally fine. Nothing to think about. Except, like, this is an in-game advertisement now in like, stations and stuff. first of all, it's very funny. But, like, this is in the game now. This is a real service. Even if we don't have it in our world, it apparently exists inside of Eve. So again, the line between reality and unreality, it really gets blurred when it comes to CCP's April Fool's Day jokes. So that brings me all back to today's new one, where, you know, what I really hope what we're seeing here is the introduction of new functionality wrapped up as a joke, right? Like, ha 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 ha, wasn't that really funny, guys? But now we're going to keep it. It's called this, and it's going to have these things in it. You know, whatever. Here's the real dev blog about it. I cannot believe, personally, that they could, even if you would consider like somebody doing it in their 20% time, I cannot believe that they could justify actually building something into their launcher for one day of a joke to remove, especially with the number of people that are begging for it to not be removed. Now, what is Omega Prime Plus or whatever it is? I don't know, man. It did get me thinking about like what else they could do to like make Omega, but like I hope that what they're really saying is that like everybody now has Omega Prime Plus if you have Omega, if that makes sense. But hold on. Where's the launcher? Oh, sorry. Omega Pro Max. My bad. So then if you go to FedMart, that opens up the Eve store, which includes the career packs, which we'll talk about in a little bit. The Galaxy opens up the faction warfare strategy maps and area. And this is the other thing, is that like there's so much of this that is like a lot of CCP's made all these web tools, but most players aren't even aware they exist. Let me see if I can. Yeah, I have to make it wide enough for it to show up the map. But like, so if nothing else, this is unironically a good way for people to find this stuff, right? If I click on the Excel one, oh Lord, what happens if I click on the Excel one? Oh yeah, it just opens up the announcement of Eve Excel and how to make it work. Yeah, that tracks. E opens up Twitter. Yeah, that tracks. CapsuLearn is the Eve Academy, which is another one of those websites that they've made that they really should steer more people to because it is very good. Very good. You should check it out. Divinity Social's not a real app out of in our universe. Correct. And then Outback Air is the only one that's kind of different. Like, if you click on it, I mean, that's pretty funny, right? There are so many Aussies in Eve and in now on Eve's staff. And then Podboard is, of course, Reddit. So, yeah. And it just opens up Reddit, too, right? Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, it's a April Fool's Day joke. A lot of fun. Please don't make it go away for after 24 hours. Now that we've said that, let's go ahead and read about how it's going to go away in 24 hours. Nerf is available for free for the next 24 hours for all capsulators, but will become part of an Omega Pro Max, the new visionary subscription tier designed to elevate your EVE Online experience to unprecedented heights. As part of this elite tier, you'll enjoy unparalleled access to Eve's new digital frontier, making your launcher the only app you'll need for gaming and entertainment. Now, I find it very ballsy of CCP to even joke around about Omega Pro Max, especially given everything that's happened in the last couple of years. But like, whew. In fact, here's my question. Here's my question to the audience, okay, for the comments. Ready? Let's assume that Omega Pro Max takes $5 more a month. $25 a month for your subscription. What would Omega Pro Max contain in order to justify that extra subscription? I'm tempted to say wrong answers only, but I guess either way, right or wrong, what is your thoughts on the idea of this joke not being a joke? Omega Pro Max is more than just a subscription. It's a commitment to providing Capsuleers with a comprehensive platform that enriches every aspect of their time in New Eden. This is your chance to be part of something groundbreaking, redefining your gaming experience and to discover EVE Online that's more engaging and entertaining than ever before. 3 times alpha training speed? You just want raw power? That's the Eve Echo's way of doing it. A fully functional upside eidolon. Cat ears. See? Yeah, cat ears. MCT. In-game suite. Unlimited access to full character redesigner. Oh no, we're having good... These are good ideas. No, not good ideas. Too many good ideas. All right. What have I done? DCP, stop reading. Don't let this opportunity pass by you. Oh, man. All right. So, that is the nerf. Extra training slot. Oh, God. You know, Malik hit it. I think they were more finally getting that more that we were told was coming with Omega when they upped the cost. I agree. Although, I mean, like, that's literally what Vanguard is, right? Like, if you think back to the actual words that were spoken, how he was talking about how there's going to be new value to Omega, but they couldn't talk about it yet. Like, the idea that there's going to be a Vanguard and that access to Vanguard is going to be granted through your Omega subscription, like, fits straight into that place like a puzzle. There may be other things there. There's room for other functionality. He did seem to be pluralistic about it. But, like, as far as, like, a PR guy goes, I could definitely see why he would have Vanguard in his mind and he would give the answer that he gave. Why would EVE Academy be a gated link for Omega? It's not. I mean, like, you can go to EVE Academy. I think that, yeah, I mean, like, it's really silly that this is an EVE Omega only thing, for sure. I think that's the silliest part about it. It should just be part of the launcher, for sure. The Easter tweet? You really want to see that? All right, we can do that. Hold on. Speaking of Tweeter, here, I can just open it up via the launcher. Haha! Oh, wait. Already did. Did EVE Online retweet it? Yes. Yeah. So, as you can see in the background here, if we look past this Easter egg to the real Easter egg, hold on. Oh my God. Open image in new tab. Can I do that? Yay! We see a Skinner. And we can see that there seems to be 4 different layers of color. Although we can see kind of 3 different obvious colors shown here. Yellow, pink, and blue. Right? But maybe there's a highlight, like a sheen or whatever. But it looks to me like there's different... This is an earlier prototype or whatever of what they're working on. This is far simpler than any of the kind of concept art that they've shown so far. And we don't see what's on the other side over here where you'd select from options. But it's pretty nifty. We also saw when they posted to Singularity, there is some text that talks about the new Skinner system and different tiers of value, common or like up to Empyrean. So yeah. And this is what's coming this summer. So what summer is, we're getting pretty freaking close to what should be the summer expansion. Like, legitimately, the summer expansion should be coming out later this month or next month, in theory. It could be the month after, but that would be towards the later bound of when these things normally happen, as far as I remember. Either way, I would expect us to be hearing a lot more about what's coming, you know, very, very soon. We're basically in watch mode. You know, we've had a lot of other, you know, there's already been some whispers and stuff going on. There's been some minor events going on. But, you know, with all of the data fragments and videos and stuff that was kind of teasing Vanguard stuff. But I think it's about time for them to start teasing what's happening in nullsec next. And also getting some dev blogs about that sort of stuff. So I'm very excited about that. We will, of course, always be covering it here. Make sure to like subscribe to the channel if you're interested in that sort of stuff. Brisk said a July expansion on the meta show recently. Like, that totally tracks. April. Wait, hold on. Yeah. Okay. May, June, July? July? Okay. That's this. I mean, yes, it could be that. That'd be pretty late. That'd be pretty late. Because they're still going to have a winter expansion. So, like, having it more than halfway through a year kind of sets them up for a really quick turnaround for the next expansion. But, I mean, he probably knows. Or he might know better than me. But that doesn't jive with what I understand about the situation. We'll see. But either way, you know, one of the things I've actually been interested, like, I've been logging into EVE a little bit more often and doing stuff with people. And if you're interested in flying with me, you know, by all means, you can join the convocation and convince me to go do stuff with you. I'm open to stuff all the time. But, like, I keep on, like, wanting to log in and wanting to do something. But, like, and insurgencies are good, but insurgencies really depend on what day of the insurgency you're coming in as to what kind of content and how good that's going to be and how much frustration that's going to be. And also, like, you know, the fact that insurgencies end kind of gets a little bit of the skin out of the game. It's a thing to do. It's not a thing that needs to be done. It's not work that needs to be done in the same way that, like, faction warfare and maintaining your systems are. And so, like, one of the things I've noticed, I've really felt, at least me personally, the absence of events this year. We haven't had very much as far as, like, side events as well. You know, like the lore-based narrative arcs. And, like, the latest one with the fragments and stuff, it's like, okay, great, I can go farm the insurgency systems. But, like, even the Epiphany one, which gave me an excuse to just go out and grind a whole bunch of dens, felt like there was more. So, yeah. Except for they didn't say what the winter expansion would be, and only that this one. They said that the summer expansion was going to be about nullsec, and that the Skinner was coming in summer. We do not know anything about the winter expansion. That's true. Yet. I've not been on with the lore stuff cropping up noticeably. I've not been on much without lore stuff cropping up as noticeably. Yeah, exactly. Like, not having an event, not having, like, oh yeah, let's go together. Okay. I have 3 to 4 people in battle cruisers. We want to go have fun together. Like, when there's an event happening, there's a thing for that. You can bring hacks, you could bring battleships, we could do low sec, we do high sec. There's all kinds of different little activities to do for all kinds of different sizes and groups and all that sort of stuff. Like, we've been literally doing level 4 missions just to have something to do together. Like, home fronts are good and mining works, but, like, give me a thing that's here's the other thing. The daily tasks, like, they made it so that everybody has the same daily tasks, but they didn't make the daily tasks something that you have to work on. there's something that just like, it's just like, oh, I need a scanning ship and I need a killing ship, or I need a mining ship and I need a thing just so I can knock it out really quick. It's not a thing that you would like team up with another person to be able to do. It's not like, hey guys, let's all log in and knock out our daily quests for the day. And as much as there's people that might hate on the idea of daily quests in EVE, we need if we're going to have these objectives like this, it'd be really cool for there to be daily corp objectives, right? And we can do these kinds of things, but like, and corp objectives and all that sort of stuff works, but like everybody has this, they made it so that everybody has the same daily tasks, but yet, and they explicitly said it so that we could work on it with each other, but then we don't actually need to work on it with each other. Fleet solo mining? Wait, I don't understand what fleet solo mining. Team solo mining? You guys are confusing. I don't think you understand what words mean. Oh, Jeremy. Yeah. Jeremy, that's for Vanguard. Wait, what? Hold on. With Eve, in the Eve timeline, Q2 is when the expansion's supposed to be released. So what I'd like to see is, like, I want to see a thing where you can do these two simple objectives, right? But I also want to see a deeper commitment, right? Like, I want to see, like, okay, mine 1,000 Veldspar, now mine 10,000 Crocite, or whatever, right? Like, and then, like, one unlocks the other. So maybe you, hey, Sam, everybody might unlock them together, or, by themselves, and then you come together for the more dangerous one or whatever. And, like, maybe have one for combat and one for, so you can either go depth or breadth, but if you go depth, it should be an actual, like, thing to do, I would say. But either way, I digress. Yeah, corp daily tasks would be a really cool thing to do. I do like objectives, like corp projects has been very, very successful, but with the absence of events, there isn't something for people to rally behind. And I've seen a lot of players just fall off because, like, even if they came, even if they do that, it's like they show up, what do we do? Okay, what's going on tonight? Oh, we're doing home fronts. We're doing level 4 missions. We're doing mining. We're doing faction warfare. Okay, well, the last time they were active, they were playing, it was during the Shadow War, and they played 10 hours a fucking day. But there is no Shadow War anymore, and there's no replacement for it at all. Even for somebody who does want to do cooperative kind of PvE or something like that, it's still not the same as when there is an event. And yes, the whole point of events is that, like, things change and like nothing is there the whole time. But, when you go for 3 or 4 months without a shiny thing to do, people become kind of listless, right? Even on the worst years, like, what about Doctor Who? We would have had Doctor Who was into January. We also obviously don't get the Garistas. We don't get the Garistas Easter event anymore. We don't get the Valentine's Day event anymore. Geckos, by the way, are insanely expensive now because of that. I feel like this is one of the biggest ways that CCP's really fallen off, and I'm starting to personally feel it. Anyway. Shadow War seriously had me engaged. Exactly. I think that Shadow War was really, really brilliant. I'm waiting to collect more Doctor Who screwdrivers. Doctor Who, again, these were some of them, like, Doctor Who was a great event. I want them to just bring back Doctor Who event as, like, wormhole chaos or abyssal chaos or whatever, right? Like, strip away all the Doctor Who timey-wimey stuff from it if you want. Replace the enemies with a different model so they're not literally Daleks. And, like, let us actually play the scenarios. Yeah, not having an event, but my point here, guys, if I could bring this back all to positivity, is that we are due for one, and we're primed for one. And things like this picture here tease at the idea that CCP is just getting ready, you know, to close the door a little bit on Havoc and open the door a little bit on what's coming up. It's April. It's time to start teasing. So it's time to start paying very close attention to stuff. And something tells me, here's the thing about the Vanguard thing. While it seems like the event that just happened was tied to Vanguard with the videos, it wasn't tied to this Vanguard's playtest directly. And that's extremely important because CCP likes to do sleight of hand when it comes to their lore, right? When it comes to bringing things out. We will, just like the low-sec gates of Stain, right? Like the idea that they are able to come out with this stuff and we assume something about it and what it means. This is why I've stressed since that was coming out that something tells me that this is going to have more profound ramifications for EVE Online beyond just Vanguard. This new research and study by Upwell and the new presentation or a report that's being prepared by Air Laboratories about how Capsuleers learn things. I suspect that we're going to get I'm going to say this, a significant rethink about how players learn information in EVE Online. I don't know if this means MP. I don't want to say a new MPE because that's also a meme at this point. But like, the idea of like making it so that skins are more through Evermarks, and Air is more connected to the way that players learn things and all this sort of stuff. Like a lot of these revamp of the early game experience may be being part of all of this. And some of the lore or some of the previous event kind of hints at that because it's about the nature of clones. And that's, of course, our bread and butter. That's who we are. So, yeah. Fozzie designed very good event. He still does. Invent your own adventure? I agree. So, the thing is that, like, you can just piddle around and make stuff up, and that's fun to do, and push the sand around. That's fun to do. But the universe doing things gives us choices to make, right? When the Deathless invades, it gives us the choice to support him, fight him, do neither, profit off of it, ignore it, you know, whatever. But if that doesn't happen, then there's no choice to be made, right? So these catalysts are good to play off of. You know, obviously in D&D role-playing is all about just, you know, your characters and freedom to do whatever you want within the game. But there's still usually a catalytic event that makes the story happen. NPC, and on top of that, like, and nullsec and empires are great, but when left to their own devices, stagnation locked in. So there needs to be some balance there where it's about what players do and how that and how those choices interact with the nature of the universe and is able to sculpt it and be sculpted by it. And I think that that's part of what makes EVE so interesting. I think that it's really good to be able to say, like, actually a good example is that convoy event, right? It was not a foregone conclusion that that convoy would be ambushed, right? The players played their part, but there is nothing that scripted that to happen. And yet, that is now a thing that has happened. From the history, from this point on, when the consequences of that event come out, and I'm telling the story about it, guess what? It's always going to be Winterco that made the attack, that got the hostages, that ransomed him for 10 billion ISK, and then eventually gave him back for 1 billion ISK ransoms, right? Like, Winterco is the ones that did that. That's the story. That's how the story plays out. It's like Pochvin, right? People always talk about, like, the fact that the structures in Pochvin, no more structures can be put up in Pochvin. Therefore, eventually there will be no more structures in Pochvin. And therefore, there's no point to any of this. No, this is a story. We are telling in real time the story of how Quzxpon and how its structures grew, evolved, how each of them was destroyed. Each of their stories matter now, right? Tell me these stories. I don't know a lot of the I don't have all of the Quzxpon stories. There's plenty of them, and maybe I should have somebody like Drake on to tell some of them. But like the Fortizar that the goons attacked and whatnot. The point is that the fact that there will no longer, one day there is an inevitability that on a long enough timeline there will be no structures in Quzxpon does not make the story of those structures less meaningful. I would argue it makes it more meaningful. It's more complicated than that. Fraternity was actually escorting the convoy, but decided to nuke it to get a hold of the scientists because Snuff was about to drop. I mean, that's a great story, and I'm not going to even say that it's wrong, but Fraternity is absolutely angels. So, they did the right thing in the end. But you see what I'm saying? Like, this is what it looks like to play in a living universe. Sometimes you spoke to having spoken to the people behind it. Well, of course, that's what they would say. That's my point, Lorelei. It's all spin. I'm just kidding. They were actively trying to get people were actively trying to stop the convoy from going and warning them. And I do like, it was very the NPC actor says, they're gonna camp you or whatever, they're gonna ambush you, and they're like, they wouldn't dare. It's like, okay, we'll see. Hey, greetings from America. Very cool. All right. Where were we? So before I talk about Vanguard, though, I do want to talk a little bit about so there's these new career packs, okay? And this goes to the a couple weeks ago, they moved all of the expert systems from the real cash shop to this to the in-game Plex shop, right? And to the point where one of the patch notes, even they had to patch it to make it so that they link to the correct place now, because they still link to the same website, now broken web link. But now they link to the correct place. But so they move the expert systems. Expert systems are, of course, a way for you to get access to skills that you don't necessarily have for a limited period of time. And they have new packs available to people. The thing I find most interesting about these is that they are double packs. Like, you get 2 expert systems in them. And then, but this pack also allows you to buy them with cash and in-game. So you can see, like, and they're different valued, right? So like the Explorer Career Pack is $11, or rather, yeah, the Explorer Career Pack is $11. The Soldier of Fortune is $18. Whereas Explorers is $275, and Enforcer is $475. So yeah, there are different values for the different things, and they come with expert systems, cerebral accelerators, etc. I honestly can't tell you whether or not these are worth it. I mean, these are interesting ways of getting access to things for a short period of time. Mostly, I'm just interested from you guys. Let me know in the comments below or in the chat. Like, do any of these expert system packs interest you? Have you used an expert system pack besides the ones that are given by CCP for free? Any thoughts on this at all? They're very interesting, very weird. Is this, and I guess my last question is this better or worse than selling skill points? That's my juicy question of the day. All right, let's get off that though. All right. Let's get to the good stuff, guys. All right. I want to talk about what happened this last weekend. The March Vanguard playtest. It had some good, some bad. I will say, well, I'll save my complaints, my complainty rat for it probably till later. I do want to share something with you guys first and foremost, though, because there's something that a lot of people are not talking about when it comes to the Vanguard playtest. A lot of people are obviously talking about the guns and the mining and the kills and the spawn kills and all that kind of stuff. But to the trained eye, there was something very, very interesting that came as part of this. So actually, let me take a step back real quick. So as part of the playtest, we see New Eden News comes out with a new thing. And in the New Eden News, we see reports of CDIA seeking information on Arkhambine figure identified as Life Giver following reappearance in alias of Deathless Communications. Life Giver alias originally noted by DED and YC115-116 reports in connection with suspected Garissus and Angel Cartel elements. And I think that's it. So, and then there also was the New Eden News article, which I did a reading of the other day, just before this, that says CDIA actively seeking information on Arkhambine figure identified as Life Giver following the reappearance of this alias known to DED since YC114 in Deathless affiliated communications. And at the time, I said, okay, well, that's a weird one. Like, I don't have any idea who this person is. And then it was brought to my attention, and I looked into it, and we see that in Templar 1, we have a character named Dr. Gable Dietrich. I don't know if you can hear the fire truck in the background, but yay. So in this story, Mac, who's kind of a simple dude, he has a simple way of talking, an unusual way of talking. He just simply calls him or her Life Giver. You are the Life Giver. And so from that point on, he calls her Life Giver. Someday I free you, I bring another Life Giver for these men, he says to her, which is also weird. And he says, on your feet, Life Giver. He could hear Mac say, bad people coming. And I need to go back through and read it to make sure, he calls her Life Giver again here. And the final reference to Life Giver at the very end is Life Giver come forward, which is towards the very, very end after she's been rescued. But the very, 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 very end of the book, right before the Sanchez Nation afterward, is her, or not the very last thing in the book, my bad. But yeah, one of the very last things in the book is Men's Repala of the Caldari state talking to her because she has access to one of the early Templar models and is being, she's reverse engineering the Templar technology to kind of help spur on the Immortal Clone Soldier development in other nations besides the Amar. So the question is, did this Dr. Gable, this Amarian doctor, become the Life Giver and help work for, or maybe even start Arkhambine, right? So let's keep looking into that, because what we got was a whole bunch of contracts. Now, in the original contracts for Vanguard, all of the contracts were for corruption, which meant all of the contracts were given to you by one of two people, either Ezri Hokusotsu for the Garistas or Rafik Zohar for the Angels. Ezri being the Caldari agent, or the Garistas double agent within the Caldari Navy that stole a bunch of tech involving the Project Firebird, the plans to revamp the Phoenix and develop the Phoenix Navy issue. And Rafik Zohar, the Angel Commando that stole or kidnapped the ore scientists by hijacking the ore work wall, the Esperance, yeah. So these two guys give out a lot of the contracts. If we go down here, we can see like, see, Ezri Hokusotsu. There's a deathless one. Rafik Zohar, right? Okay, great. So that's what we saw before. What? RP generates story? Hold on. Eve, yes, everybody is role-playing in Eve, even if you don't think you are or want to be. All right, so we have these unknown ones, but we also, so we have these suppression contracts. But we have a lot of interesting stuff involving different agents. We have Handler Morituri. Morituri is Latin for they who are about to die. And then we have Handler. We have Life Giver from the Arkhambine. And the Quartermaster. And this was the moment that my mind was blown. I almost fell out of my chair, and I thought Malik was fucking with me. Okay. So, let's take a step back. Who are these people? Well, I don't know anything about Handler Morituri. Although it looks like Lorelite has a pretty good theory. Hold on. A out. There's also a theory collating an A out Esri. What? Also the Quartermasters with the Deathless. Yes, exactly. Exactly. That's the thing that blew my mind. Okay. Who is the Quartermaster, you might ask? So how do I even begin this? Once upon a time, there was a project called EVR, and it got really, really popular, and then it got turned into an actual game called Valkyrie. And Valkyrie was part of the early like Quest lineup, or not Quest, Oculus lineup, back when it was Oculus. And eventually they made it so it wasn't VR only, but they didn't advertise that at all, and therefore it never took off, and then it died on the vine, and then they sold it they sold the licensing to maintain it to another company, and then they stopped maintaining it, and now it's been shut down. I'm not bitter, you're bitter. That said, it introduced a whole lot of concepts. It introduced the idea of the Schism, the Valkyrie, and the Quartermaster. So the Garistas is ran by two different dudes, Fatal and the Rabbit. Fatal was by far the more kind of sly, aggressive of the two. Rabbit's kind of crazy. But Fatal was supposedly killed during the Krelair project when they were stealing the cloaking technology from the Caldari years ago, and basically disappeared from everywhere until he was brought back for Valkyrie, where it was shown that he used some of the technology that was used to develop his return in order to basically kidnap people and turn them into immortal fighter pilots that work for him. some of them rebelled and became known as the Valkyrie, operating under a lady named Ran Kavik, voiced by Starbuck from Battlestar Galactica. And no, I'm not joking. So they needed like a neutral guy to be the dude who like builds the Valkyrie like fighter ships, and also, you know, distributes the loot boxes with skins and upgrades and all that stuff for Valkyrie. And so the character of the Quartermaster was born. The Quartermaster is a guy who talks to you throughout the entirety of the Eve Valkyrie gameplay. At least the echoes, the various different levels with the actual lore in it. And he is the major driver of the plot of Eve Valkyrie, which I've covered before through the Eve echoes, but you can also just look up all of the previous echoes, which are the audio logs from Valkyrie still on YouTube. But suffice it to say, like, he's an incredibly well-connected person. And actually, I did collate the information about the Quartermaster a while ago. So this was posted. This was a post I made years ago because there was what was called the Warzone extraction event that was going on at the time. Okay. So what we know so far, the Quartermaster is a primary figure in the Valkyrie storyline, supplying Valkyries and maybe the Schism with supplies and technology. What is this?
Hello?
Ah.
Hello? Can you hear me? If you find this, listen to me very closely. I had very little time before Faysal's forces moved in to contaminate this place. The residents of Solitude left little behind. They cleaned this place out. All the tech is stripped from the walls. It's been gutted. An empty shell. I did find something, however. Unpurged data packets residing in the system. Its coordinates. The coordinates. Ones that will take us right to the source. I need you to come find me. It's going to be a war zone up here. This technology will change things. Our work has not been in vain. It's more than I ever imagined. A message from the ancients.
So, yeah, that's the Quartermaster. That's what he sounds like. And he's talking about drifter technology at that point. So, like, the whole story about of Valkyrie, like the different stages, you know, the gate crash stage with the Stargate, if you listen to the story, it's about a Stargate that's under construction and at the last minute is redirected to another place because it's been pointed to an area in the Great Wildlands by the Deathless. Or not the Deathless, but the Quartermaster, which ends up being the base Solitude. I know it's kind of confusing. Solitude's also a region, but like Solitude, the base, which is a Thucker base, which had, as he points out, the coordinates. And the coordinates is to a Drifter Hive. And in the Drifter Hive, he's talking about all the technology and how great it is and all that stuff. So, but he is rumored to be betrayed by the Rabbit, a tech genius who invented the brain kidnapping device used to catch Valkyrie pilots and resurrected Fatal. He's connected to the agency insofar as he's the person front-running the agency event Warzone Extraction. And I think this was one of the first actual agency events. I think this was the first time that the agency was actually the agency, which is very interesting because I've always suggested that the agency has strong connections to the Deathless. So if the Quartermaster has connections to the Deathless too, then it just shows that the Deathless has had his fingers into the agency since the very, very, very beginning. Anyway, so he has vested interest in drifter tech. So what we did was in this event, we would go to these sites and he would be on the outside and we would go inside and there'd be broken drifter ships and we'd have to fight some drifter ships or whatever and extract these trinary data relics, these corrupted trinary data relics, and give them to him in order to complete it, right? And CCP has confirmed that this was the first item put into the game that was related directly to the Triglavians. So this is all connected, right? So it says he has also collected untold number. So he hunted after a secret Thucker base to get the coordinates to a Drifter Hive to steal their technology and augment the Valkyries. He also collected untold numbers of corrupted trinary relics from capsulators during the Warzone Extraction event. He doesn't take sides, but he does take orders. He is described as a snake and a thief, a dealer in secrets, and someone that everyone knows but no one has seen in person. He admits to having spent years moving pawns to get access to the drifter hives, implying he knows more about drifters than many. And then I talk about the agency a little bit there. The Ostracon Agency is a Dust-era Gallente Merc corporation that saw substantial success during the Yin-Mei civil conflict and had obviously been doing quite well for themselves. And then, of course, eventually, is Deathless connections to that. Okay, so, and then this is the news article that came from that. Widely distributed networks of enclaves believed to be by Concord to be associated with the drifters and allied sleeper drones have been revealed by a new job request promoted by the agency, listed as a task requested by an individual known as only as the quartermaster. The agency job for the Capsuleers to enter war zones that appear to be the scene of fighting between drifters and parties unknown. So this was the very first time that the Trig were. So this is how we know that the Trig were in New Eden prior to the Concord catching them. The scope sources at Concord Directive Intelligence Agency have indicated that Quartermaster is a known associate of the mysterious group of renegade fighter pilots known as the Valkyrie. The terminology of the war zones is apparently indicative of the same group. The CDIA also believes that its possible rival faction known as the Schism may be involved in the matter. Unconfirmed rumors and intel report from the CDIA suggest that the Schism is headed by an individual claiming to be Jirai Fatal Leitinen, the former crime partner and pirate Ingrissus Pirates leader Karako the Rabbit Kosakami. He has been long thought to be grievously injured and incapacitated or even dead, though persistent rumors of his return to a life of crime has swept Galnet channels for over a decade. So, Airtalker Research Consortium, a capsuleer group that controversially involves itself in drifter investigation efforts, have issued a call for certain items for cover from the wreckage field to be delivered to it. This is where Airtalker got their massive collection of trinary data relics. And in fact, some really cool footage came from that. Hold on. Like this one. And boy, now I can't remember who it was that made those. If somebody remembers, please put it in the comments so I can put it in the description or something. But yeah, these were made originally for the Ark YouTube channel. I can link that, I suppose. But yeah, I just have those on hand. But yeah. And then, of course, you know, the Deathless we've talked about before. He's very much connected to all of this, and the Vanguard in particular. So the idea that this character, this quartermaster, who, I mean, like, this is the kind of plot line that you would really expect CCP to just let die, right? Like, this is the kind of thing that is, you know, CCP gets accused all the time of letting threads just die off the vine or whatever. And if that was true, then they would never have mentioned any of these things ever again. There's no reason for them to bring up the quartermaster, you know, except that these guys are doing stuff. And so when you combine the idea that, like, the quartermaster, the life giver, the Arkhambine, and Deathless all go back all the way to the Dust 514 era stuff. Like, I feel very, very, very close to being able to just take a needle and thread and just go straight through all of it and tie it all together and be like, ha, here is the fingerprint of the Deathless all along. And I was right. He is the Fiend. I'm sticking by that, by the way. CCP, no storyline is ever dead. CCP only considers it a finished chapter. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is that these things lie in wait, right? But the whole point is, this is hearkening back. There's something that's been going. This not only is them picking something back up, this represents something that has been going on for a decade. It's just been extremely subtle so far. And they do this so that when pieces do get put together, we look back and we go, oh, there's this and this and this and this, and wow. But at the time, they all seem like little disparate, unconnected pieces of information, half-drawn conclusions and inferences, etc., etc. Lion neglected, so Lion wait. I don't think so, because again, so that's the other thing is that this game, like the story takes place in real time. So, there's a lot of news stories and stuff in the modern day that you don't get news about it every day, or if you do, it's like some random headline that keeps you abreast that it's even happening, like, and then every once in a while it's like suddenly the big thing everybody's talking about again because something happens. I feel like my point is that I feel like people there's a cross between people not paying that good of attention and people kind of not understanding how the story of Eve plays out and how we participate in it. And I'm not faulting those people for it. I fault CCP for not stitching this all together. But hey, this April Fool's Day joke has been a really good way of getting people to check out the Chronicles and such. I miss Emerging Conduits too, Dr. Rave. But yeah. Anywho, I think that's it for this. Oh wait, no, hold on. This isn't even close to it for this. We still have what they talk about in these records. All right. So Morituri says it's quite rare for a wreck of this magnitude to result in total loss, and the current locale is no exception. I'll put it very simply: recover electronic parts from its containers. That's not a big one. It comes in no great surprise that arrival of novelties such as yourself at the crash site draws the attention of parties beyond those with business here. Such tactless eavesdropping as the scattered surveillance units that have arrived at the outskirts may amount to little more than a bad joke, but deliver a proper punchline and I'll see that you get rewarded. What's interesting about that is that this reads like it should be a Vanguard one, but it's not. It's Handler Morituri. So I don't know if that's, but like the way that Handler Morituri speaks, this kind of shows that these are probably more of the Mordu side of things. It may be that Arkambine's breakaway and defection to this so-called Deathless Circle is compelled by earnest purpose, but surely your life giver is aware that attempts to obtain such vital information as Legion war clone architecture will not go unchallenged. Burn synaptic profiles from inact war clone blanks in preclusion of others doing the same and upload them to the specified relay to receive your compensation. So again, we're establishing that life giver is a critical person within Arkambine that is looking to acquire vital information to the Legion's war clone architecture. In my line of work, a good intuition for when to risk something of value is to attain a desired outcome is priceless asset. It may be true that restoring power junctions or wreckage affords life giver dubious associates a chance to obtain valuable data down the line, but in order to do so, they'd first have to beat us to the chase. So once again, Handler Morituri is explicitly attempting to thwart the life giver's attempts to extract information from this wreckage. So the Mortis Legion bowhead gets ambushed and crashes on the surface of the planet, and now the Vanguard are rushing to the site in order to extract everything they can. And these guys are sending people to try to destroy evidence before the Vanguard can get to it. Infomorph-oriented networks like the one this bowhead's imprint banks are woven into are typically quite opaque. Warclone hardware should, by all accounts, be incapable of processing this data on its own, and yet it's clear that the Vanguard are capable of precisely this. Post-mortem nanolysine action prevents physical scrutiny of your clones, but packets drawn through your hardware may lend insight and will earn generous compensation. That's weird. I don't understand that one. Pirate salvage crews will take the lion's share of this bestower's remains when the havoc stills, but certain things they'd hope to find in the wreckage will hardly be identifiable at first glance unless they know where to look. On the other hand, I can lead you right to them. Craft relay links, blah, 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 for extraction. It seems that those recruited by the Deathless may have converged on an unexpected vulnerability in this ship's systems. Historically, the notion of rebuilding meaningful information from echoes and FTL comms buffer data has been deemed hopeless. But between your Life-Giver's expertise and the reappearance of the Quartermaster, rumored to have had a hand in Fatal's return, so definitely confirmation, this is that Quartermaster, I'm electing to believe otherwise. Build relay units and patch them into intact fluid router ports so that we may flood out their buffer data. So once again, just trying to thwart the efforts of the Life Giver. It also seems interesting. So here's the other interesting thing, actually. I just realized something. You're a Vanguard clone. You're a Vanguard clone. You know how I can tell? Like, Handler Morituri is, and it's an undisclosed faction because she's hacking into your systems. She says, your Life Giver's expertise. She's referring to you. Because everything else, she's saying she's talking directly to you in these articles. I can lend you right to them. So she's talking to a Vanguard clone, trying to or he, I guess. It might be a he. They are talking to a Vanguard clone, trying to convince the Vanguard clone to do suppressive activities instead of corruptive activities. Given that this bowhead served as a mobile war clone fabrication plant, it logically follows that any included implants or augmentations would have been supplied locally. Manufacturing these on board from schematics sealed in vaults built into the hull itself suffice to prevent their discovery out in space. But here on the surface, your insurgent associates have been far more meticulous. Deactivate the energy bolts on the vaults, recover the crisp chips from their inner racks, and return them to me for a considerable reward. The thing that bugs me generally is that the interpretation removes any player agency on who is or is not deployed to those situations, which CCP is a bit careful about removing that agency. Yeah, but at the same time, I think that this is showing like the complete like lawless nature of the Vanguard, right? The fact that they like, that's why you're there, but what choices you make is you know? Before this vessel met its unfortunate fate, this clone chamber fabricated word clone banks on demand for dire operations in some sort of the most remote corners of New Eden, but now its secrets must be laid to rest. Build a broadcast node attached to the mainframe terminal. Still, we're just destroying stuff. Intact terminal, screwing across the wreckage field are back online. Assemble a decryptor key loaded with the data I supply. Access rebooted terminals and reset their contents. Hakazoutsu might have some knowledge of Legion security protocols. Guristas are good for hacking things. But if there's nothing left to pilfer, the Guristas can get little benefit out of it. Okay, here we go. The Quartermaster. The Legion's war clones seem to maintain a full-body model of neurological and physiological conditions using neuroheuristic clone mapping. There is no question that the ransacking of facilities host to my erstwhile research yielded the basis of this technology. Okay, so the Quartermaster is claiming that the Legion stole technology from the Quartermaster. In trade, the augmentation schematics our colleagues have traced to vaults built by into this ship should suffice as restitution. Disable the integrity bolts on the vaults using your suit's new tools, pull the crisp chips from their inner racks, and bring them to me. Okay? Then Life Giver. Since even those of you who are with us from the start won't be able to recall these memories yet, while the Arcombine conducted most past R&D hand-in-hand with Mortis Legion, we've also both always known the necessity of holding some cards close to the chest. If you plug into the NIS of intact banks and burn profiles of their neural pathways, we should be able to shed some light onto the Legion special warfare architecture. So, again, Life Giver, part of Arcombine, obviously has been part of this connection for a long time, intimate with the relationship between them and Mortis Legion. Then there's Freejacker, which is a member of the Deathless Wraiths. Which the Deathless Wraiths is... Oh, shh! No! Raid! The Deathless. The Deathless Circle consists of the Deathless Wraiths. The Deathless Wraiths are elite infiltration, espionage, and smuggling wing of the Deathless Circle with members drawn from among... Hold on. 1 second. Good timing, Punch. Punch coming in with a 5 gifted subs. So on behalf of Donovan, James, Emden, Frickin' Ghost, Container Records, and Simon Klaus, thank you very much, Punchinello. And thank you from me, of course, and from everybody who enjoys my content. You help make it possible. Oh, yeah. Okay, so as I was saying, before Xfinity tried to get my business. Okay, so... With members drawn from among the earliest associates of the Deathless and emphasis on all the arts and crafts of space navigation and combat, the Eraser function as the main command and combat group of the Circle. In common with the many pirate organizations of New Eden, the Wraiths are by no means the only group in the Circle that carries out tasks it specializes in, but are generally considered the tip of the spear when it comes to espionage and technology acquisition operations. While the Wraiths are deferred to on many issues, their true leadership of the Deathless Circle resides with the Deathless and its closest advisors and most trusted operatives. With no listed CEO or anything like that. So back to what they say. So, hold on. This is loud now, it feels like. Okay, so Freejacker of the Deathless Race, reporting deployment and numerous surveillance units around the outskirts of the wreckage field could belong to Mortis Legion, Aegis, one of the Empires, or anyone or anything else with interest in this Bowhead or any of the technology Lifegiver and her associates have incorporated into the Vanguard. Do us a favor and punch some holes in them, will you? So the Freejacker is interested in conserving the Deathless Circle's information, but so the Lifegiver is a female, which lends us this idea that it's probably Gable, which is pretty exciting. The Lifegiver says, all of life is born from dust, and dust it returns. But by cruel circumstances or conscious choice, a part of you has already suffered death, and what is dead cannot die. The gates of paradise won't open twice. Once your undeath would consume you, but today you can find harmony at long last, as Vanguard. Fight and live for your own sake, again and again, and rebuild yourself into a new life far greater than the sum of its parts. Can you not see a converted Amarian faithful lady medic who has been tainted by seeing the corruption of war and exposed to these immortal soldiers, become part of the Arcombine and a leadership within it to then become one of the Deathless's primary associates? I think that that's an incredible story, and I'm really, really excited about it. And I want to go back and no. Gable is the one with the Amarian necklace. Oh, yes, you're right. You're right. I think she's a convert. I think you're right. I just know that she's faithful. She's an Amarian faithful, is my point. Like this, because like her struggling with her like love for God and her what she was being exposed to as part of the Templar 1 events, like was part of her arc. So like I said, I want to go back and read the book from that perspective, and I'm very interested to see what they're doing with her character. The Deathless says, knowledge is the foundation of control. Memory is its blueprint. This ship's clone chamber functioned not only as a mobile fabrication plant and crew, but was also a clone vat bay for clandestine visitors, crew, and pilots. All incoming or outgoing TBS data has been wiped, but impressions echoing the ship's SCL comms buffer may be spun into threads of these travelers' unspoken understandings and secrets. Build relay units and patch them into the intact fluid router ports and transmit this data to my associates. Esri says, we managed to power up terminals scattered around the crash site. Now let's see what kind of sensitive information we can pull from Mordu's databanks. The hard part is already sorted out. You'll just need to build a decryptor key loaded with the data provided and use it to hijack any functional terminals you can find. Easy peasy. I think these are kind of the original ones, so I don't know if there's any. Oh yeah, this bowhead is clearly designed to sail home rarely, if at all. And the data we've obtained, it seems any imprints on board are regularly backed up and synced over a secure network. Patch into imprint banks using the backdoor we've opened. Then draw off unpurged data packets from the network using a nifty program the Rabbit and Quartermaster devised to adapt Vanguard Warclone hardware into a crude Intosis link. Okay. And I think that's it as far as like the juicy tidbits. But there's quite a bit here, guys. And this is the thing, like a lot of this could have been missed. They did bring attention to you know, obviously the Life Giver, but the idea that the Quartermaster's involved too, this has immense potential for like making old threads pull together. What is an Intosis link? Okay, so an Intosis link effectively allows an infomorph to partially project its consciousness into a computer terminal system in order to better effectively hack it. Yeah, a lot of the Clone Soldier and Clone Pilot people were really excited over this. I agree. Yeah, so, yeah, I think that, again, this shows the real potential of Vanguard. And it's also worth noting that, like, hold on, if we go back to the Vanguard, now that I think about it, pull this up real quick. So April. So next month is going to be the last month of nothing. And so June is a new map. And so given the fact that this current map is explicitly the Bowhead crash, yeah, Intosis is used for Sov warfare, but it's also used for hacking into other things, like, for instance, the Jovian observatories. So the new map is interesting because, like, a new map means a new scenario, right? Another thing has to happen for there to be a map to do things on. And a big piece of what that could be, segue, is Lorelite has been doing some stuff in Yagalis for quite some time. Now, I've covered this before, and I have a bigger video called the Yagali situation that you can check out. But I did want to highlight this particular post. I think I posted it in the description. I will at least put it there for now. And hold on, let me make sure it's in the description. Now it is. Okay, so Lorelite has assembled everything that's been going on with the Yagalis since the beginning. Now, this is, you know, very much on theme for the day, right? The blurring of the line between truth and fiction, player lore, CCP lore, in-game, out-of-game. It all kind of blurs together sometimes, right? And this is a really good example of this. where Lorelite is an very active RP or player that is in the RP community. I don't want to say like that's all they do. Obviously, it's not. They do tons of stuff, but they do stuff in universe. Very knowledgeable person. Definitely not being so complimentive because they are in chat right now. Very cool. Anywho, so a few years back, CCP began this kind of storyline involving Ugalis and potentially AI and precursor artifacts. And the short of it is that there might be like a sleeper or Talakan artificial intelligence or drifter or something that was woken up on one of the moons. And now a bunch of people are fighting over it, and Concord's like arrested a bunch of people, and the Caldari burned a bunch of the information. The Gallente burned a bunch of information, so on and so forth. But the point is that all of this seems to have started with Lorelite. Lorelite begins operation of this orbital command center. Now, or Lorelite posts on the player fiction portal quite a bit. Is this not a good example of that? Is this a good example of that? No. No. So Lorelite actually posts like in-game newsletters, or rather, I should say, in-universe newsletters. This thing has so much stuff, guys. I'm not covering this all today. I'm just showing it off a little bit. But like, so there's this rumors, gossip, tabloids article made by Mizir, who is another huge person in the lore, and has been posted quite a bit and updated by Lorelite and others. Maybe I should have Lorelite on now or later or some other time that kind of talks about the true history about all of this, because here's the thing. I've tried to figure out like where the player lore ends and the real and the CCP lore begins, and the answer is I have no idea, and I'm not sure if anybody knows at this point. So the point of the matter is that Lorelite begins drilling into this moon, and it becomes a whole thing. And again, we're not 100% sure where it's going, but it seems very intimately connected to the whole war clone situation. So, as I said, you can go back and watch my Ugali situation video. You can go through this fiction archive that Lorelite assembled together and check it all out. But yeah, it's pretty wild. And like I said, it isn't all like, this isn't just so that people understand. This is not just Lorelite making things. I'm not just showing off a player doing player things. Here is the scope article that I just picked one at random. Wait. Yeah. Federation Black Eagle sweep Ugali's 6 in search of illegal instances and backups of unrestricted AI networks, right? So there is a thing here, and Lorelite has effectively, along with others, been cooperatively creating this story in Ugali's with Delegate Zero and CCP's lore team in universe, played out in real time. And it is very, very likely that when the Vanguard thing kicks off, this is the powder keg that they've kind of prepared to set off, in my opinion. I don't think most players know that there is a player lore section. That's true. So in the fiction portal, you can go to... wait, hold on. Sorry, in the lore... Let me take a step back. In the forums, we have the fiction portal, which has player fiction, which is like fan fiction, but we also have the Intergalactic Summit. And there's something that's important to note about the Intergalactic Summit, which is that this board is canonical, right? This communication, the actual board, this board is, as close as anybody can make it, a real communication line that is actually in EVE Online as well, like in universe, right? So in essence, everyone is supposed to be communicating, like all communication on this board is designed to be in character. And a lot of this kind of blurring between player lore and CCP lore comes from this, because there is no real line, right? The idea is that if we do something in EVE Online, if you log in and you do a thing, that canonically happened, right? It happened. Now, the key here is that, and this is the secret behind the role-playing thing too, like everybody's role-playing even if you don't think you are. Hey, Aikawarazu Chan. Everybody's role-playing even if you don't think you are. Because, like, you can say whatever you want. You can make up whatever you want. You can say you're a holder of an Amar. You can make that up as your headcanon for your character. And you can type about it on the in-game forums or in-character forums. But here's the thing. That doesn't change the fact that you're just a crazy capsuleer that goes on to public forums and spouts out about how much you are a holder for the Amar. It has nothing to do with whether or not you are a holder for the Amar. The only thing that you have done canonically is be a person who have claimed a thing. And that's one of the things I find very, very interesting here, is because it makes it so that when Dutch Gunner goes and bombs a place in Pochvin, or when, Laurelite makes a big deal about a drilling of a moon in Yagalis, these things get picked up on. And it's not so much of whether or not it's player lore or CCP lore, it's whether or not there are consequences that CCP pick up on and roll with. And the God honest truth is there are plenty of good examples of this, and this is one of them. So I think it's really cool, and we should probably have Lorelite on to chat about this, but I don't want to pull him on when I need to run and put him on the spot. But maybe if you want Lorelite to hop on and talk for a little while, go ahead and post it in the comments or in the chat, and then we'll schedule a time to make that happen if I can convince them. No pressure. DZ, in hindsight, Demiurge was painfully specific about certain things, and they're still cagey about things, but they could have smashed in all of my world building stuff on Ugali 6. Right, they could have, but they worked with it, and that's the whole point, right? Like, at one point, you were just making shit up, right? But at a certain point, your made up shit that you were just doing for yourself, for your own little lore wiki or whatever, I'm being purposefully downplaying it. But, at one point, it transitioned from just a nerd with doing a little RP thing to being actual EVE history recognized with consequences that we now get to cite. And the thing is that, like, you can't draw a line there. So I don't know. I think it's really cool. But yeah, I'm running low on time though. However, I will say that my son does want to do like an extra special April Fool's Day video. I know I'm kind of spoiling it, but he wants to do an April Fool's Day video. So what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to try to figure out whether or not I can get Ashrathi Decanted working, up and running. If not, then I might do it on this channel, even though I said I would only do EVE stuff here. I'll figure it out. I don't know. I also might not do it at all. I don't know. Let me know. I think it'd be a cool thing to do for him. He really likes this kind of idea, but we'll see. Laurelite with Laurelite. Nice. Yeah. So maybe we'll make that happen, Laurelite. Also, I did want to do like Yeet exploration and stuff, but like, again, running a little bit low on time, and I don't want to get stuck in the middle of nowhere and have to get off, because usually it takes more than an hour to get home. So maybe that'll be something that we do next time. I'm not going to say when next time is, because every single time... The last episode, I was very confident that I was going to do the next day, Thursday, I was going to be able to do this stuff. And then my son comes home, and it's like, oh, look, spring break. So yeah, this is why I don't promise things like that, because like that's how things work. But just know that that's what's coming up soon. Let's see. Anything else we got to talk about today before we wrap things up? Anything else? Anything else? Anything else? We do have a merch shop with some new products, thanks to some people asking us for various logos on stuff. You can get pod shirts, you can get Convocation and Malro goodies, including big mugs, kind of like this one, but bigger. Just say it'll be okay Tuesday. We'll be fine. Yeah. I will say that normally I don't try to stream on Monday, but after everything, I had to make sure I streamed today. Looks like I'm just in time for you to be done. Hey, it was a good episode, though, man. We covered a bunch of cool stuff. That being said, I also do need to get back to Raid Shadow Legends so I can level up my armature, so that way I can finish the challenge. Today's ridiculous. Oh, yeah, we submitted our Alliance logo. Yeah. Oh, also, we did get enough followers for the new emote, which... Do we put up well? Yeah. The new emote that I put up is up well. So now you can show off your support for both the Deathless and Upwell, as well as the Invited, if you're interested. You get access to that for just $1 a month, becoming a member. All right, but I think with all that said, God, I always feel like there's something else, and there always is, and I always forget it. Come join me in Eve. I've been Ashtarothi. I've been playing this game since 2010, talking about it since 2012, and I'm here to be even to context for you, my fellow Empyreans. Thank you guys so much for coming and checking out the video, liking, commenting, and subscribing. All that happy stuff, and all of my top supporters, including, I'm just going to call them out special today, Malik Starfire, 16 months as an Immortal supporter, and just a really good dude and a good friend. Thanks for being with me all this time. It's been fun. To many more, let's go kill some shit in Kikis. I've been Ashtarothi, the voice of New Eden, and until next time, I'll see you in space.
Bring on the wrecking machine.
Like, comment, and subscribe for the Guineas!
For every city you burn, I'm gonna build high. Bring on the wrecking machine, setting your dreams of heaven on fire. Bring on the wrecking machine. Bring on the wrecking machine. Bring on the wrecking machine. Gonna ignite your every desire. Bring on the wrecking machine. For every city you burn, let it burn, let it burn, let it burn. For every city